Hi, thank you for joining us today. My name is Dawn Franz, and I am the nutritional health coach at Natural Grocers. I work at the one that's on North Academy in Colorado Springs. And we do nutrition classes at the store as well for free. You just have to go to our naturalgrocers.com website to find out what stores have as far as offerings for classes. We have a store on South Nevada, and we have one in Monument. So there's a couple stores in town that you can look for classes. But I'm happy to be able to offer some classes for the Pikes Peak Library District. If you do attend this class and you go into one of the stores and let them know you attended Fueling for Fitness and you watched it on recording, let them know at the store and they can give you a $5 off coupon at the store. So nutritional health coaches also do free one-on-one coaching. So that's by appointment, and we sit down for an hour and go over a little health history and support you as far as where you're at and what you want to try and implement as far as a healthier diet, and as well as some supplements that might benefit you. So we're going to talk about that today. This class is called Fueling for Fitness, the Basics of Sports Nutrition. So we'll talk about foods as well as supplements that can really help give you an edge, help you to recover, whether you're just starting an exercise program or if you are an athlete. I think this class will really benefit you. So we do know that exercise is healthy for us, right? But sustaining an exercise program is sometimes difficult. It's hard to stay motivated, and sometimes we don't recover well, or we don't have the energy to exercise. And so diet is really, really key to supporting how you feel and allowing you to be able to perform well and to continue doing the exercise that you choose. So how many of you already exercise on a regular basis? Hopefully you do, and if you don't, it's never too late to start. So just kind of put one foot in front of the other and try some walking. It's a great exercise, and everyone can do walking. But yeah, there's a lot of different things that you can try. Before we get into this class, I do have to read a quick disclaimer though. I just have to remind you that this class is not intended to diagnose, treat, or mitigate any disease, and that dietary supplements and foods can interact with prescription medications. So if you are taking a prescription med, just make sure that you're informed about any possible interactions. Natural Grocers is a great company to work for. I have worked for them for 20 years, and I love the opportunity to learn more. Nutrition is vast. There's so much scientific information, and they're always doing more research, and so I love it. I love to learn how nutrients support the health of the body. And Natural Grocers is dedicated to providing free science-based nutrition education to our customers in our free classes by having us go out into the community, and also doing the coaching that we offer for free. We are also unique in health food stores in that we are committed to quality. Our quality standards are unsurpassed, I think. We only carry organic produce. In our meat, dairy, and egg department, we have very high standards for the farmers to ensure that we are supporting the overall health of the environment as well as the health of us, and also supporting healthy animals and livestock. And we do think that health food should be affordable and available to everyone. So we do offer everyday affordable pricing. You'll see that we have great sales if you check our monthly sales. We have $1.99 eggs, and these aren't just, not any old eggs. They meet our standards, so they're grass-fed. They're not giving them hormones or antibiotics, so these are healthy chickens. So check out things like that. And then our Natural Grocers line, all of the products that are our line are very good quality ingredients. Most of them are organic, and they're offered at an affordable price. We love to support our community through donations. Right now, if you buy a reusable bag from us for $1.99, we'll donate $1 to our local food bank in town. We are also committed to supporting the health and welfare of our employees by offering them nutrition education to support their health and optimal wellness, and also so that when you go in to talk to people at our store, our employees, that they are educated and able to help you with your health. So let's get into before we go into talking about exercise and how to support it, I just want you to think about what your definition of health is. And when we're starting a new exercise program or keeping up with one that we're already doing, it does require commitment, right? Commitment to do it every week, and planning to figure out how to fit it into your schedule, and some willpower, right? The foundation of health really does rest on a quality diet. Of course, we'll talk about that, but optimal health requires physical activity to push our bodies to their best. So it is important in our overall health to include regular physical activity. So the purpose of this class is to encourage everyone to exercise and to learn how to eat right to support that physical activity. And we'll also answer questions about some popular supplements that can help you get the most out of your exercise efforts. So just something to think about too, as far as changes in our lifestyle from what our genetics were developed in. We're not that much different genetically, really, from our paleo ancestors. Did they lead a sedentary life? A lot of us these days end up having to, like, we work at jobs where we're going to be sitting most of the day. We come home we sit in the car to drive home. We come home, maybe we watch our favorite TV show. So we're, without even really, realizing it, we are sitting a lot more than we used to. And definitely much more than our paleo ancestors did, right? Because they had to walk everywhere. They had to stay abreast of predators. They had to walk and look for food. So they obviously were a lot more active than us. And what would happen if they were not, right? They would run out of food because they would probably eat, everything in the area. Or if they weren't physically fit, how could they outrun a possible predator, right? So it was an essential thing to daily life in our primal years to be physically fit. Nowadays, it's not necessarily essential. So it's something that you have to really put some effort into. And then what are the dangers of living a sedentary life? I don't think that we realize the impact it can have on our overall health. When we're neglecting physical activity and choosing a sedentary lifestyle, it does put you at risk for cardiovascular disease. And as you probably know, cardiovascular disease is still the #1 killer in America, but also in the world. And so when we think about risk factors for cardiovascular disease, a lot of these things on the list are things that right? Like cigarette smoking, dyslipidemia is high cholesterol, high triglycerides, prediabetes, hypertension or high blood pressure, obesity, sedentary lifestyles on that list, though, right? And sedentary lifestyle is defined as not participating in at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity activity, physical activity, on at least 3 days a week for at least 3 months. Other risk factors for cardiovascular disease include like age, family history. So the CDC, or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, has established this list here, and it includes sedentary lifestyle. So neglecting exercise must be a small risk factor, you might be thinking. Certainly not worse than smoking or obesity. But when you do kind of look at this chart below, it compares some of those risk factors as far as the negative impact it has on your cardiorespiratory fitness. which also can mean poor physical fitness. So obesity is actually lowest on contributing factors. Hypertension is kind of high, like you might expect, but low CRF stands for cardiorespiratory fitness. So low physical fitness is higher than all of them. So you have a better chance of surviving all-cause mortality if you're obese than if you are not exercising regularly. So you have a better chance of surviving all-cause mortality if you are diabetic than if you do not exercise regularly. So this really makes it, it kind of points out how important physical activity is for our heart health and just our overall health. And even just to put it in perspective, for example, one lazy week of a sedentary lifestyle, so exercising less than 30 minutes 3 times a week, is equivalent to smoking 20 cigarettes. There's a lot of evidence that if your cardiorespiratory fitness is low, it can definitely predict your risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. So this is, what is recommended as far as like how much exercise should we be involved in. And this is what the American College of Sports and Medicine recommends, getting at least doing 2 types of exercise, thinking about cardiovascular fitness, cardio, and also incorporating some resistance training. So that could include just a brisk walk. It doesn't have to be too intense as far as cardio, but at least 30 to 60 minutes for 5 days a week. So if you could commit to walking 30 minutes, even if you don't have 30 minutes at once, you could do like 15 minutes in the morning, maybe, and then 15 minutes in the evening. So you're at least getting that 30 minutes a day. And then when we're thinking about resistance training is also important to help maintain the health of our muscles. As we get older, it's harder to maintain tone in muscles and maintain muscle strength. And so it's really, really important as you age. Muscles help to keep us from falling. It helps to hold up like our back and help us with good posture. It helps to prevent injuries. So it is something that is really important. So doing some sort of resistance training 2 to maybe 3 times per week is important. Strength training with a little bit of weights, yoga, which is body weight type resistance training, contact sports can be included in that, doing like resistance bands, stretchy bands. So there's a couple of different ways to do resistance training, but that's definitely part of staying fit. And it also allows you to be more successful in your cardio exercise. You'll be less likely to like sprain an ankle or pull a muscle if your muscles are healthier. And then I think along with that, it's just a side note, I think spending a little bit of time stretching and having flexibility is super important too. So don't forget the stretching and flexibility. That doesn't have to take much time out of your day with your workout. But if you're doing resistance training and you're doing cardio fitness, you want to make sure you spend 5 to 10 minutes at least doing some stretching and flexibility type exercises. And again, these are the minimum guidelines for improving health and fitness for healthy populations. So as we talked about earlier, physical activity was a part of our primal ancestors' way of life. It's something our bodies were built to do. And it has many benefits beyond health and quality of life. A lot of people adopt physically active lives to improve their athletic performance and also to improve how they look and feel about themselves. But no matter who you are and what your goals are, you should always look for ways to achieve or maintain a physically active lifestyle. So benefits to physical activity that are more likely to improve your quality of life are things like improved sleep and mood. The recovery from exercise has a strong parasympathetic effect that supports your body's ability to achieve quality sleep. So it allows you to get into a deeper REM sleep and sleep deeper. There are certain regions of the brain that are active during sleep that are affected by exercise. And it's even better when you can exercise outside, especially in the summertime where you're getting exposure to your eyes with that direct light. That actually helps you produce more melatonin in the evening and to sleep better. But also, most of us know that maybe it doesn't feel so good to get going with exercise, and maybe it hurts at first and it's hard to motivate yourself sometimes, but once you get done, it just feels so good. You feel like you've accomplished something, but it's also because exercise helps to produce neurotransmitters like serotonin that help you to feel good and support your brain, and exercise is actually really effective for anxiety and depression. So it's one of those things that you can incorporate. So for cognitive support, exercise can really beneficial for the brain. Not only does exercising help with oxygen flow to the muscles, to the brain, it has other benefits. A lot of studies have additionally looked at how exercise contributes to the development of new neurons in the brain, and how certain regions of the brain are more active during and after exercise. Also, they've looked at how motor development and complex skill acquisition is related to brain plasticity and development. So like learning a new routine, or maybe learning a sport, or having to really think fast if you are playing a sport is good for the brain. So a lot of studies have well documented the positive relationship between regular physical activity and the brain's ability to improve learning and memory. So it's another great thing you can do to support your brain health as you're aging, or at any time, any age. And then there's plenty of other great benefits of exercise. We've talked about improving quality and longevity of life, and improving cardiovascular fitness, but resistance training can actually improve your strength and power. That is important for just overall health. Exercise also stimulates hormones in the body that help support health, and physical activity and improving muscle tone and having more muscle actually helps with body composition, right? Because you burn more energy when you have more muscle tone. So no matter who you are, it's important to achieve and maintain a physically active lifestyle. There's lots of benefits, right? So we know exercise is good for us, but what is the best way to fuel that fitness, and what are the best foods? So for example, if you're going on a hike for an hour, what should you use to fuel up with? In a university survey, 80% of students reported that they thought carbohydrates were the best fuel for endurance exercise. That's exercise that lasts longer than 30 minutes and is usually at a low intensity. And 70% of students reported that they thought protein was the best fuel for lifting weights. You think about bodybuilders drinking a lot of whey protein, or you want to build muscle, you need protein. But interesting fact, carbohydrates are actually the body's preferred fuel for both endurance exercise and resistance exercise. So protein is definitely something you want to replenish after you do resistance exercise to support healthy muscle recovery, so that you're getting those amino acids. But during the exercise, really no matter what kind of exercise, carbohydrates and fats are actually our primary fuels that we use for energy production. So carbs are the preferred fuel because of how efficient our bodies can burn them and break them down into glucose, which then in turn creates this ATP that our body uses for energy. So the body is a pretty efficient machine, right? And it will use the path of least resistance. So it's going to burn whatever fuel is going to give us that energy quickest. Carbohydrates do provide the only source of fuel for anaerobic anaerobic exercise, the type of exercise where there's not oxygen, and you run metabolism even without oxygen. And fats fuel most of aerobic metabolism. So anaerobic exercise is the more intense exercise where you are breathing really hard and it's hard to talk. Aerobic exercise is exercise where it's low intensity and we are still able to talk and breathe, and we're getting in plenty of oxygen for the muscles. And also we do have glycogen, which is glucose stores, and we're better able to break down that glycogen also. And they require, that requires less oxygen to break down glycogen than it takes to break down fat for energy, because we do have fat stores and we can burn fat for energy, and that is what happens in longer, more endurance type exercise. Our body switches over and does burn fat because it's a longer burning fuel. But in those short, intense exercise, our body does burn the carbohydrates first. And then with endurance, once we first get started into endurance exercise, we're going to burn carbohydrates. And then prolonged exercise, we will actually start burning some fat. But initially, we're going to burn carbohydrates. So kind of to put that into perspective, when we're resting, we use about 60% of fat for energy. When we're not really exerting ourselves, our body does break down fat for fuel. And only about 30% of carbohydrates are used for energy when we're resting. Intensities above that resting gradually reduce fat reliance, and then it increases your carbohydrate reliance. So just to kind of recap, carbohydrates are the body's preferred fuel source for exercise, and they're preferred because they're metabolized quickly and in less steps compared to fat. And then fats are also a good fuel source, and they can be utilized during exercise. And then protein, when you actually are performing that activity, is not going to be used and broken down for energy, because it takes a lot more steps to get that protein broken down for energy. But it is important to support the strength of the muscles and to support and prevent muscle damage. So protein would be something you would follow the activity with. So endurance activities actually recruit a variety of different muscle groups and more resilient muscle fibers. So even with endurance activities, you are demanding more of your muscles, and you need to repair them and support their growth. So carbohydrates break down into glucose in the body, and that's going to be our fuel for exercising muscles. Carbohydrates also help to regulate certain hormones that may support health and fitness goals. And you primarily get carbohydrates in your diet from fruits and starchy vegetables. Those would be the healthy sources of them. And then let's talk a little bit of fat as fuel. Fats pack in a little more than twice the metabolic fuel than do carbohydrates. So that makes them an efficient fuel source for its size, and can help you fill up and also reduce hunger, so you don't overeat on carbs or junk foods. And they reduce hunger from interrupting long bouts of endurance exercise. So like I said, as you are going into that like hour-long or plus run or bike ride, your body's going to be burning fat at that point. You can get fats in your diet from eating organic, naturally raised meats or grass-fed dairy, and fats like organic grass-fed butter and cream, nuts and seeds, avocados, olive oil. So those are all really good healthy fats that you would need also to support exercise. And then protein, that provides our structural support and is important to repair the abused muscle tissue. Protein does not necessarily serve as a primary fuel source for exercise, but you want to get it in your diet afterwards, and that's going to come from naturally raised meats, dairy products, nuts and seeds, or probably, if you're vegetarian, properly pairing certain plant-based foods that you're getting all of the amino acids that your muscles need to repair them. All right, so let's just review the role of carbohydrates and then the glucose that is broken down from carbohydrates for an exercising body. For healthy metabolism, carbohydrates provide energy for exercising muscle, so that helps you to do whatever that you want to do with good energy and help prevent fatigue. It's also necessary to support fat metabolism. Carbohydrates, they burn first, and then that allows the body to burn fat for energy. For hormonal support, glucose is needed to support insulin. When we have glucose in the blood, our body releases insulin, and then insulin is a hormone that helps to repair. We also, insulin additionally helps amino acids turn, kind of get into your muscle tissue. So it's important. And getting enough carbohydrates before and after exercise is important to prevent cortisol from elevating. Cortisol is our stress hormone, and it can, since exercise is kind of hormetic, it doesn't cause a little bit of stress on the body. But if you don't eat and replenish those carbohydrates before and after exercise, you're going to release cortisol to stimulate your glycogen stores to release. So to maintain those stress hormones and allow you to feel good and recover quicker, carbohydrates are needed. And then also, when you run low on carbohydrates, your body starts looking for an alternative fuel, right? And it will then, which is more of a energy intensive process, but if it has to, it will break down muscle tissue to gain access to amino acids to be used as fuel. So if your goal is to support healthy muscle tissue, you don't want that to happen. So it is really important to include those carbohydrates. All right, so your body breaks down food and uses carbohydrates, fats, and protein to produce energy. And then changing the chemical structure of food is called metabolism. That's what happens when we turn that food into ATP for energy. The greater the exercise intensity, the greater your reliance on carbohydrates for food. And the more active you are, the more carbohydrates you can include, which is kind of a fun thing. Like a lot of people are considering low carbohydrate diets, which if you're not as active, that's probably the best diet. But if you are active, you can eat more carbs, and it's actually important. So definitely, sometimes people can confuse fuel source for fitness outcome and assume that you must burn fat as a fuel in order to lose fat. But fat loss is strongly determined by hormonal responses and total calorie expenditure, and has little to do with fuel source during exercise. So the more muscle tissue you have, like the type of exercise you're doing, can actually, the muscle will burn more fat. And then also, depending on your hormones, that will actually determine how much fat you're able to burn. So a lot of those high power, high intensity exercise, like HIIT training, they hormonally pave the way for greater fat loss than exercising at a low and slow speed in the fat burning zone. So those shorter bursts of energy, what they call the high intensity interval training, actually supports hormonal burning of fat a little bit greater than just, you know, running for an hour. So that's something that I think is something important to take into account, especially if you're at the gym and you're like, oh, I do cardio for an hour, like 5 days a week, and I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not losing any weight. I'm not making any gains. Then you really want to think about changing it up. So maybe you shorten your cardio, maybe you only do 20-30 minutes, or you do shorter bursts of cardio, do more high intensity interval training, or you break it up and include some more some weight training, so that you change up the type of exercise, and that allows your body to burn fat a little bit better. So if you think about the primary purpose of relying on fat for fuel is to reduce the impact of using up your carbs for fuel. So the greater you postpone using all your carbs in the body, the greater exercise performance or endurance activities. So if you're doing like Zumba for an hour, or if you're, training for a marathon and you're running or you're biking for longer than 30 minutes, you do want to make sure that you're able to burn fat for energy too. Endurance activities do actually help us be better able to burn fat. They help us to create more mitochondria and help to improve the function of our mitochondria. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's the part of the cell that burns fat for energy. It's the part of the cell where we're creating ATP for energy. So if we are doing endurance exercise that requires that amount of energy to be produced, our body's going to change and we're going to stimulate the production of more mitochondria. And also we'll develop more of a denser network of capillaries to active muscle to improve blood flow. So by using your body, you're going to be better able to use your body, basically. All right, so what types of carbohydrates should we use? Should we bulk up on pasta and bread? Should we eat sugary should we drink sugary energy drinks, or should we eat candy before we exercise? Hopefully you're not thinking about that, but we should really choose healthy carbohydrates because they're more nutrient dense, like fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables have a higher amount of antioxidants and other compounds that are really going to support the health of the body and help modulate inflammation. If you're not thinking about what type of carbohydrate to choose, like right before activity or 30 minutes before, just choose some carbohydrates that are gentle on your digestive tract and just save the high fiber foods for after exercise. Fiber intake is crucial for healthy digestion, but fiber can also be a source of GI distress, especially if you are going to go into exercise. So if loose stools are a problem, just do some sort of fruit, like watermelon maybe is a good one. Beets, which we're going to talk about, beet juice is one. Fruit juice sometimes can be utilized. So those are some reasons why you want to choose healthy sources like an apple, a banana. These are all good carbohydrates that really can give you that boost of energy before a workout. But also, they're the good things, the good types of carbs to include afterwards too, like starchy vegetables, like sweet potatoes, squash, and fruit are all good sources for recovery carbohydrate sources. So overall, you do want to eat a healthy whole foods diet to support your health and support your ability to recover and help modulate inflammation. So vegetables contain a variety of minerals and vitamins and a lot of plant compounds that work like antioxidants in the body. So eating half your plate of vegetables, like a salad, roasted vegetables, grilled vegetables, the grill is kind of keen right now, is a good practice to make sure you're getting in those healthy foods. And then we need protein to help repair our muscles and to keep our blood sugar balanced. So at least a quarter of your plate in protein, like eggs, chicken, fish, steak, nuts and seeds if you're vegetarian. Tempeh, those are some other good protein sources. Healthy fats are important. They're maybe what you would put on your salad dressing, what you would put on your roasted vegetables, avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, organic butter. Those are all good healthy fats to include. And then your carbohydrates on the picture here, they're kind of smaller, but that's for people that are not incredibly active, or they have prediabetes, or they really need to watch their blood sugar, so you keep it smaller in that case. But if you are doing more intense exercise, especially on those days when you're exercising, you do want to make sure you're getting carbohydrates in, and in some cases you can add more if you're really active. All right, so let's talk about some metabolism boosting nutrients. I mentioned coconut oil is a good healthy fat, but coconut oil is also a great source of MCTs, or medium chain triglycerides. That's probably the only exception with fats. You really don't want to have fat before exercise because it takes longer to break down. But MCTs are actually another fuel that you can use before exercise because they're burned very easily by the liver and turned into energy very quickly. MCTs are absorbed and metabolized. The rate that they are absorbed and metabolized actually matches carbohydrate. So it is an effective fuel before, during, and exercise. The best way to get MCTs, though, is to use an MCT product, medium chain triglyceride product, because coconut oil has has 3 different chain fats, and so not all of the fats in coconut oil are medium chain. So it's better to just get some MCT oil or MCT powder and take that before exercise. If you're new to MCT, do take it slow, and maybe build up as far as the dosage on the label. It might say to take a tablespoon right away, but start with like a teaspoon and kind of build up over the course of a week. MCT can increase bowel transit time, so it can cause loose stools if your body's not used to it. Like I said, it doesn't take long, but maybe like a week to get your body used to it, and then you can take the full dose that is recommended. Coconut oil or MCTs are also great because they break down into ketones. You can get some ketones without being on a ketogenic diet, and your body can actually burn those, and that helps to support fat metabolism. And ketones are actually a fuel for the heart and the brain. So all great things in association with exercise. Beets can help with pre-workout blood flow to muscles. When the compounds in beets interact with your saliva, or when they hit stomach enzymes, their nitric oxide, it does get converted into this nitrous oxide. And that's a local metabolite responsible for vasodilation, to relax blood vessels and allow oxygen to flow to the brain and to the muscles. And that is important to help with oxygen delivery, even to help with healthy breathing, and it can enhance anaerobic as well as aerobic performance. There's lots of studies on cyclists and runners with taking beet juice. One of the studies suggests drinking a serving of beetroot juice about 1.5 to 3 hours before exercise for optimal effect. So it allows, when you get more oxygen to the muscles, it allows them to work harder for longer. I did a little experiment actually this morning. My son is going to start football practice next week, and we went to run the hill he's going to have to run up. I tried to get him to take beet juice, and he did not like the flavor, which, some people, if you don't like beets, you don't like beets. But I took it. I took his extra serving because he couldn't drink it. And I definitely felt like I had more energy to, run up that hill with him. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't. He's 12, and so I definitely couldn't beat him up the hill. But I did feel like I was doing a little better than I thought I was going to be doing. So think of beet powder, beet juice as a little pre-workout, 1.5 to 3 hours before exercise to support that oxygen delivery to the muscles. So let's sum up some of the fuel ideas. We want to fuel up with carbohydrates before your activity. For recreational physical activity, at least 30 minutes before. A large apple should provide enough carbohydrate to fuel your fitness. For if you're going on longer activity, like a hike, you'll need fuel too. So try a fruit smoothie, maybe add some coconut oil or MCT oil to that fruit smoothie to give you more energy for that longer hike. And then beetroot juice, as we just mentioned, may support long endurance activity where oxygen delivery is stressed because it allows more oxygen to be delivered to the muscles. And a lot of amino acids for muscle support are best absorbed with the assistance of carbohydrates. So even if you want to, follow your exercise with a protein shake or a good protein source, make sure you have a piece of fruit along with it to allow those amino acids to enter the cell. So when to eat before and after exercise is there is some timing. Exercise stimulates our fight or flight response, right, of our nervous system because everything's working, we're running. So our body is kind of in that stress state, and it's not, that's kind of opposing our nervous system response for rest and digest. So if you eat something your body hasn't digested yet, like right before exercise, you're not going to feel good, right? So that can send conflicting signals in your body. So make sure you give your body that time to digest, like at least an hour and a half, maybe at least 30 minutes if it's something that's really easy to digest before exercise. So what should we be eating during exercise? Well, I mean, just, you know, your regular exercise, recreational exercise for, 30 minutes, 5 times a week. You don't necessarily need to be eating anything during your exercise, but maintaining hydration is important. If you are participating in prolonged endurance exercise or you're exercising hot or humid environments, like if you're doing a marathon, you are playing soccer or football or something that is a longer endurance type exercise, you would also want to think about maybe some fuel during the exercise, some way to get some carbohydrates in along with some hydration. So the roles of food after physical activity are, let me go back actually really quick for the liquids. So the stomach really can't handle more than 1 to 1.75 grams of carbohydrate per minute while you're exercising. So that's kind of why most sports drinks are designed in that way. They provide only about 6 to 8% carbohydrate along with minerals and electrolytes to help hydrate you. So while I'm not a huge fan of Gatorade because of the artificial colors and sometimes there's other questionable ingredients, it is designed to help fuel you during the endurance exercise by giving you some glucose and some electrolytes. We do carry natural type Gatorade type products, natural electrolyte type juices at our store, so it contains actual fruit juice and then electrolytes, which I would actually prefer because there's no artificial colors or any artificial ingredients. But that would help you to fuel your exercise and also allow you to rehydrate quicker versus just water alone. On that note, with just water alone, it can actually dehydrate you because as you're sweating, you are losing sodium, you're losing potassium. And so if you're just replenishing the hydration, just the water, it's not going to fully hydrate your cells with those electrolytes that you need. So it is really important to stay hydrated during endurance activities, and you would need some sort of electrolyte drink in your water. We sell something called Ultima. Ultima is a electrolyte powder that you just add to water. It's sweetened with stevia, so there's no sugar added, but it does really have a good electrolyte gradient to help replenish electrolytes. You might also consider coconut water. Coconut water has a natural electrolyte gradient that is similar to our blood. It has a high amount of potassium, it has a little sodium, and it's really a natural electrolyte replenisher, and it contains naturally occurring some fructose in there from the coconut. So it's a great replenisher as well. So after exercise, you want to refuel, you want to support hormones, balance stress hormones release so that your body can kind of normalize again. And you want to support muscles so that you can maintain your muscle mass. So let's talk about what to do to fuel after exercise. So depending on the intensity and duration of physical activity, you'll spend your stored carbohydrate from your liver. As your carbohydrate storage runs low, your adrenal glands start to increasingly release cortisol to help, balance and release more glucose. So when we have higher cortisol levels, that can lead to overtraining syndrome and kind of damage your overall health. Cause you to be more tired and prevent your recovery. So refueling your spent carbohydrates really supports a hormonal response that can help you achieve your fitness goals. So let's talk about intense exercise for a minute. So if you're exercising it more intensely for an hour, that can reduce your body's stored carbohydrate by half. And if you're participating in more strenuous exercise for 2 hours, you can nearly deplete your body's stored carbohydrate or your glycogen. So you definitely will need to refuel carbohydrates to restore what was lost. So when we are consuming, protein, when we're drinking protein powders or eating protein after exercise, it is broken down in the body to use within 3 hours of ingestion. Glucose stores as glycogen and fat stores in our adipose tissue. So amino acids or proteins are the only thing that we really need to replenish every 3 hours, because we don't really have a storage form in the body for protein. So eating 10 to 20 grams of protein every 3 hours is important to support your health and fitness goals. We also want to look at some things to help manage inflammation for muscle support. When we are exercising, that inflammation is created in the muscles, and we can also have, just as a side effect of normal healthy metabolism during physical activity, it can cause some oxidative damage. And that inflammation can cause you to tear muscles, and it's kind of the main reason that you can feel sore after exercise. There are certain foods and supplements, especially fish oil, that can help with the inflammatory impact and support your muscle tissue to help it repair. So fish oil is important for modulating that post-exercise inflammation, to allow you to feel better and allow you to kind of get back out there and do the exercise again the next day. In studies, it shows that a dose of 1,500 milligrams to 3,000 milligrams of fish oil have been shown to support healthy body composition, hormone balance, a healthy inflammation response, and muscle recovery, as well as improving lean body mass. Fish oil is, I think, one of those #1 things that are easy to incorporate, omega-3 supplement, but also turmeric. Turmeric's another supplement that helps modulate inflammation. It helps to support the joints and the connective tissue. You may end up putting a lot of stress on certain joints depending on what type of activity you're doing. So the fish oil or omega-3 in combination with the turmeric can really support that inflammation in the body. And then think about what we need for healthy metabolism. Pretty much every step of the way in metabolism, B vitamins are needed, especially B vitamins B2 and B3. They actually play a direct role in the final stages of energy production. So taking a B complex is a good idea. Studies show that athletes need more B vitamins per day to support additional carbohydrate and fat metabolism. So getting a good B complex, I do like the one that's pictured here. It says coenzyme B. So coenzymated Bs are active. They're in the active form. When you take just the traditional or the form of B vitamins that's not coenzymated, your body has to convert it into these coenzymated forms. So I feel like that form is a little bit more efficient. We have a lot of different brands that have a coenzymated B complex at Natural Grocers. Even our Natural Grocers brand, our B vitamins are coenzymated. All right, so our muscles actually use more calcium when they contract. That allows the muscle to contract. And so a steady supply of calcium is regulated by thyroid hormones during and after exercise. Our skeletal system absorbs calcium greater after exercise than compared to non-exercising absorption rates. So that's one of the reasons why physical activity is actually good for your bones and your bone density, especially weightlifting. So replenishing calcium is important. And then magnesium is the mineral that helps with relaxing muscles. So we want to use magnesium after exercise to help relax muscles. Magnesium also helps with inflammation, and it's needed for maintaining the electrical potential of nerves and muscle cells. So a good calcium and magnesium supplement is a good idea for recovery. You may also need some additional electrolytes, like I mentioned, with a healthy sports drink, or an electrolyte supplement like Ultima can be added just to make sure that we're replenishing potassium, sodium, and chloride that might have been lost during sweating and during exercise. So I feel like this class we didn't talk about branched chain amino acids, so I will talk about them really quickly. BCAAs, in case you are not familiar with those are. But when we eat protein, it breaks down in the body into amino acids, right? There's 9 amino acids that are essential, and there's 11 that are non-essential, meaning that we can make those amino acids from the other 9 that are essential. And then there's 3 that are branched chain amino acids. Those include valine, leucine, and isoleucine. Leucine is kind of like a rate limiting step in muscle production, so we can't really repair and build muscle without leucine. So branched chain amino acids are actually a great supplement to support muscle building, muscle recovery, to support muscle, to prevent muscle soreness. So you can add a branched chain amino acid powder after exercise to help with recovery, or you could even use a whey protein. So whey protein is, out of all the protein powders, it's highest in branched chain amino acids. Naturally, it's about 26% branched chain amino acids. For example, some of the plant-based proteins are a lot lower, like a pea protein is only about 13% branched chain amino acids. So if you can't take whey because you're allergic to dairy, you can do a pea protein, and a lot of those, like the sports pea proteins, contain some branched chain amino acids that are added. So look for those to make sure you're getting those branched chains. But those are something that can really help you recover and support, prevent soreness. So let's talk about the types of foods that we need to include before, during, and after exercise, just to kind of sum this all up. So before exercise, we don't really want to eat a ton of fat. We don't want to slow down our stomach. Protein maybe, but not till after exercise. And then carbohydrates, the preferred fuel for before exercise, during, and after. So we would eat either a starchy veggie or a piece of fruit 1 to 2 hours before your physical activity. So you really have to time it to make sure it's digested in time so you don't feel queasy while you're working out. And then during exercise, you may choose a 6 to 8% carbohydrate sports drink that gives you electrolytes to replenish sweat-related fluid loss, as well as giving you some fuel for your exercise, but no fat unless it's MCT. You can add MCT power before, during, and after exercise. And then after exercise, really, just eat your normal diet, a healthy diet. You can eat fat naturally afterwards. You can eat protein. You need to eat protein afterwards. And then also you want to have some sort of carbohydrate afterwards too. So a handful of almonds and an apple, maybe a protein shake and an apple or banana. So a piece of fruit or two, starchy veggies after exercise, to make sure that you're getting those carbohydrates to refuel. If you're interested in some books that we sell that address primal eating or talk about physical activity, these are some great recommendations. The book Move Your DNA by Katie Bowman is a good one that talks about healthy ways to move the body. The paleo diet is kind of like what we're recommending is like a whole foods diet. So versus like brown rice versus a sweet potato. Sweet potato has more nutrition in there, more antioxidants. So a paleo primal diet really does provide you with whole food carbohydrates like fruit or starchy veggies, good healthy sources of protein and healthy fat. Just to as far as quality of the diet. So that's why the book Primal Kitchen Cookbook is a good one for recipes that would include primal type eating. The Primal Fat Burner by Nora Gedgaudas is a good one for finding out about how fat can be great for the brain and be used for fuel. So those are some great books to check out. I hope that after taking this class, you are motivated to exercise because it is great for your health overall, your cardiovascular fitness, also better quality of life. It helps to improve sleep and mood. It helps you to age more gracefully so that you are more flexible and you're stronger. And it is just something that our bodies are used to doing and our bodies are made to do, but it does take practice, right? So get out there, find some exercise that you enjoy and keep doing it. But also make sure that you are eating a healthy diet to support your health so that you can continue doing it. And there's a couple supplements like MCT oil, beet powder, beet juice, branched chain amino acids, fish oil, and a B complex that really would help you have an edge and help you to continue doing that exercise that you love. Thank you for joining me today. If you would like to make an appointment with me to do a one-on-one coaching session, you can go to naturalgrocers.com/coaching to sign up for one of those individual coaching sessions. Again, those are free, and you get a $5 coupon for coming in to take advantage of that. I look forward to seeing any of you at the store at Natural Grocers, and you can mention it to our crew and they can get you a $5 coupon for attending this class. Thank you.